welcome, welcome everyone to this weekend of remembrance. And I express joyful tidings to you on this weekend. This week, I attended a marathon board meeting of the Great Lakes Unity region. All ministers gathered together to process the business of our ongoing ministry as a movement. And we're becoming more and more aware that there's an emerging new model for all aspects of religion. A new model for gatherings. And I sense that it is not to come from us, not to come from the current generation, but from a newer generation. And what will the unity message be? Will it cross over? What is it? People are always telling me to give a message that is practical. What is practical? Is it an idea that is life-changing? Is it a practice that is empowering? It's becoming more and more evident that you can go a long way in self-development, but an inner awakening is the most important element. And so I dedicate this service to the inner awakening that is the true reality for all of us. And would anybody like to light the Christ candle?
I light the Christ candle this morning to remind us that this light shines within our hearts every single minute of every single day of our lives.
So our message today is how to let go of power addiction. And don't forget to read your little letter here in your folder when you get a chance. Just put it, if you get around to finishing it in here today, put it in the offering, or give it to me, or put it out on the table. It's fine. Once again, I'm creating a picture of participation, ongoing participation for our spiritual journey together. But to get down to the subject, I could really just get this over with so we could get out of here on time and say the way to let go of power addiction is to let go of power addiction. Let go. But I want to say a few words about power. And this really, I don't know if you know this. How many of you know the paradigm shift is my favorite subject? Okay. And the paradigm shift is leaving behind a paradigm of fear-based, power-addicted practices. So, you might say, well, who's addicted to power? Maybe me, I don't know, maybe not. So how do we deal with this? I'm sort of implying that the whole population of humanity tends to be power addicted as we are remaining in old paradigm consciousness. Yes, I am. I mean, perhaps it is the craving for security, for inner peace that we try to satisfy by controlling outer conditions. Domination requires that we control outer conditions, the other. But in oneness, which is the true spiritual awareness, in oneness there is no other. There is no need for domination and the use of power in that way. So that's really the key to it, is to move into that realization of true oneness, 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 oneness. We're all made of the same substance. We're all part of the same light of consciousness. We're all connected to the same cosmos. That's becoming more and more evident in science and in philosophy and in phenomenology. It's just becoming obvious that we're all connected and we're all one. Here goes in this article. We are all connected, it says. How about the song? And we are all connected in a cycle that never ends. So, how many of you have ever come across this work by a woman named Anne Wilson Schaaf, who published a book called When Society Becomes an Addict in 1987? There was a lot of buzz about that. And she was one psychologist who was talking from a spiritual standpoint. She asserts that the way we educate our children, the way we, I gotta get the right page, the way we navigate our survival actually deadens our spirit. And that the individual turns to addictive behavior to cope with the loss of aliveness that is imposed on us by how we are navigating through our lives. So the individual turns to addictive behavior to cope with this loss of aliveness. The Christ is the symbol, the essence of natural living life. According to Wilhelm Reich, who was a psychiatrist in Germany who wrote a book called The Murder of Christ, and he said that modern man is murdering the natural living life of our being. So, if you look at it from a really, really, really distant, viewpoint, you can see that as we came out of the survival mode of being hunter-gatherers and then being tribal and then being agriculturists and having interdependence and having to put our shoulder to the wheel and work to survive and developing our nature to be capable and competent, as we left those contexts and came into the cities and came into modern mechanized society, we didn't have we're not constituted to cope with this kind of life. It doesn't meet our emotional and instinctual needs. I mean, just from a really, distant viewpoint, you can see that over centuries of time, we've come to a place where we're confronted with a society, with a way of life that doesn't really gratify our needs. And so that's why it's all turning into this kind of grabbing for whatever comforts us, whatever fills our appetite for security, you see. Now, the vibration of power desire is in the solar plexus. It's a lower chakra. And when you're sensitive to that vibration, it's a red flag to you to step back and go to softness, go to cooperation, go to unconditional acceptance. In other words, open your heart. And that is the way to let go of power addiction, to open your heart. We can divest ourselves of our craving for power by opening our heart, because the two conditions are mutually exclusive. You can't be functioning from this chakra of power if you're functioning from the chakra of the heart. You can't. So if you go up to that energy level of that heart-centered seat within your being, you'll transcend it. You'll transcend it. So power, is not a dirty word. Although for many years I felt like it was. To me, when I saw the power, when I saw people advertising, oh, get more power to do this, increase your power for that, and that is a big draw for people to offer them more power. I always found that to be dubious, offensive, maybe tricking me into getting into a lower realm of consciousness. But in fact, power is one of the 12 spiritual faculties. The power of power is located in the root of the tongue. It's the power of the word, our power to create by speaking the word of truth. That is a sacred thing. But then we're talking about the power that is used as a dominating, willful process. That's the power that you want to master, that you want to let go of, that you want to integrate into your personality in a positive and productive way. Power is energy, and we are attracted to energy, you see. And the way we take that energy on depends on our consciousness, whether we're in consciousness of separation consciousness, or unity consciousness. So it's a very important discipline, and it's not simple. I mean, I've been working, like I say, I've been working with it for years. It's only recently I've come to the place where I don't mistrust when the word power appears, you know. Develop your power to do this, have more power in doing that. And I don't want to actually use that as something that I draw people with. Because, folks, we've just got to step back and be willing to be cooperative and be willing not to have to dominate and be in charge and be willing to not have to be right and be willing to accept unconditionally what people offer, how they show up, and bless them. And so on this Memorial Day, let us recognize how extraordinary it is that we're transcending the separation consciousness appetite for power and entering a new domain of shared responsibility for the greater good. Amen. Thank you. Our meditation statement is, I am at peace in the assurance of divine love. So as we breathe into that, to claim for ourselves this peace that is always dwelling in us, need we but become aware of it. And we let that peace fill us as light now radiating through every fiber of our being, filling every level of our awareness. Every cell is alight with God's life, love, and power. Every thought is charged with God's life, love, and purity. And so let us verbalize together this statement, I am at peace in the assurance of divine love. Together, I am at peace in the assurance of divine love. And let those words silently dwell in your heart for a moment. As we rest now in the silence. We are touched and filled, guided and blessed, enfolded and surrounded in divine love. Only good can come to us. Only good can come forth from us. And for this we give thanks in the name and through the power of the living Christ presence. Amen.